The FBI UFO archives are some of the most intriguing accounts of incidences that were investigated by the Bureau. From UFO sightings to alien bodies and saucer crashes and other bizarre phenomena, some of these declassified documents are sure to leave us with more questions than answers. This is part 1 of the FBI UFO file archives. In this video, we'll go through the first batch of documents, which is a 69-page collection comprised of various letters, memorandums, newspaper clippings, and FBI bulletins. A word of warning though, some of these documents are very difficult to read because they're just plain bad copies and not very legible, but I'll do my best to make out what I can for you guys. Most of the communications and memorandums are addressed directly to J. Edgar Hoover and are dated in the year of 1947. As usual, I will highlight some of the more interesting sections and read through them here. The link to the document in its entirety I've posted in the description below. So let's dive in. The first legible page is page 15, and this is a newspaper article with the headline, "Pilot Recalls Seeing Discs. Dick Rankin Tells of Odd Aircraft." This is from the Oregonian and is dated July 3rd of 1947, just days before the infamous Roswell incident. Rankin was an experienced pilot with over 7,000 hours of flight time according to this article, and tells of having witnessed what he refers to as silver saucers over Bakersfield, California on June 23rd. It's an interesting read, but other than the FBI's interest in this, there's not much here, so we'll just move on. Here we have a memorandum dated July 8th of 1947. It's titled "The Round Robin, the Flying Roll." Let's keep in mind here that it says memorandum of importance because some of the statements in this one will definitely raise a few eyebrows. It reads, "A very serious situation may develop at any time with regard to the flying saucers. If one of those should be attacked, the attacking plane will almost certainly be destroyed. In the public mind, this might create near panic and international suspicion. The principal data concerning these craft is now at hand and must be offered no matter how fantastic and unintelligible it may seem to minds not previously instructed in thinking of this type." This statement makes the case here, I guess, for UFOs posing a national security threat and hints at their capabilities, while funny enough seems to also be hinting at the need for disclosure, which we're still waiting for. As we read on here, some of these statements are quite bizarre. We'll go through them. Number 1, part of the discs carry crews. Others are under remote control. 2, their mission is peaceful. The visitors contemplate settling on this planet. 3, these visitors are human-like but much larger in size. 4, they are not excarnate Earth people but come from their own world. 5, they do not come from any planet, as we use the word, but from an etheric planet which interpenetrates with our own and is not perceptible to us. 6, the bodies of the visitors and the craft also automatically materialize on entering the vibratory rate of our dense matter. What's interesting for me, at least here, is points 5 and 6. It kind of makes you wonder. These things may be coming from much closer to us than we've been led to believe. Point 6 elaborates on this even further by explaining that these objects can appear out of nowhere and materialize simply by entering the exact rate of vibration of our reality. I personally don't believe for 1 minute that any UFOs come from outer space. I very much believe that there is a decades-old conspiracy to get us to always keep our attention looking upwards and expecting them to come from other planets and solar systems and so on. I think something else is going on here, and I think we've been gravely misled by the mainstream on all of this. It continues here. Point 7. The discs possess a type of radiant energy, or ray, which will easily disintegrate any attacking ship. They re-enter the etheric at will, and so simply disappear from our vision without trace. 8. The region from which they come is not the astral plane, but corresponds to the lokas or talas. Students of esoteric matters will understand these terms. 9. They probably cannot be reached by radio, but probably can be by radar, if a signal system can be devised for that apparatus. I'm not familiar with lokas or talas, so if anyone watching this does know more about this, feel free to throw it in the comments for our viewers. Again, Point 7 reiterates their presumed advanced capabilities while alerting us to there being a potential threat. This next bit here may be familiar to UFO researchers. We have a whole bunch of redacted text at the top there, and then it reads, "To ascertain the purpose of the interviews, redacted person contacted Major General Twining of Wright Field, Ohio by phone at Albuquerque, and from him gained the impression that the Army Air Force instituted this investigation to wash out the disc reports, since they are definitely not of Air Force origins. On Friday, August 1st, the plane in which the Air Force, AAF means Army Air Force, investigators Captain Davidson and Lieutenant Brown were riding crashed at Kelso, and both were killed. The wreckage was screened by Army Air Force intelligence from McCord Field. The Tacoma News Tribune and through them the United Press put out a story. The plane was carrying parts of a disc which had struck a boat owned by Harold Dahl and Fred Chrisman. Redacted person advised that today's issue of the Oregonian carries up a story stating that Dahl denies saying the metal fragments he furnished were from a disc. An analysis of the fragments show them to be from a Tacoma slag mill. No Army Air Force intelligence personnel available, Portland. No recent substantive reports of flying discs in the Portland area. Seattle. Verify at McCord Field and San Francisco. Verify at the Army Air Force headquarters. Submitting teletype summaries to the Bureau. No further investigation, Portland. There seems to be a lot of unanswered questions about this particular incident, and according to some published sources, Dahl was allegedly visited by a man in black and told to keep quiet about the whole thing or there would be consequences, referencing his family. So that's an interesting one. Here we have a memorandum dated August 6th of 1947. It is to DM, I believe the name is Ladd or Yad. The subject reads, Flying Saucers. Special Agent, redacted, of the Liaison Section, contacted Lieutenant Colonel, redacted, Army Air Forces Intelligence, inquiring about an article which appeared in the West Coast newspapers recently stating in substance that an airplane carrying recovered flying saucers crashed en route from Portland, Oregon to Los Angeles, California. Redacted person advised redacted person that the only information that has been received by headquarters of the Army Air Forces is that a CIC agent of the 4th Air Force Headquarters, Hamilton Field, San Francisco, was killed in an airplane crash. The headquarters of the Air Forces have been advised that he was on a top-secret mission. Redacted indicated that he was under the impression that the CIC agent was neither en route to or from an interview with redacted, who was one of the individuals who first saw one of the flying saucers. Again, we have mention here of recovered flying saucers from crashes, but these accounts all seem to originate from newspapers, as I'm reading here, and not government officials. So I'm sure we'll uncover more as we read through more of these documents here. This memorandum is dated July 24th of 1947. Again, to DM Ladd from E, C, or G Fitch. Subject, flying discs. Reference is made to my memorandum to you in the above captioned matter dated July 10th of 1947, indicating that Brigadier General George F. Shulgin of the Army Air Corps Intelligence had requested that the Bureau cooperate with the Army Air Corps Intelligence in connection with the above captioned matter. The director noted on the reference memorandum, I would do it, but before agreeing to it, we must insist upon full access to discs recovered. For instance, in the, I think it says LA or IA, case of Army grabbed it and would not let us have it for cursory examination. This is interesting. So, there's a lot more to this than we were being told. This stuff has been kept under wraps for decades with a mixture of half-truths and lies and smokescreens. When you read about recovered craft and debris in FBI memorandums like this, and they're referencing cooperation with Army, Air Force, intelligence outfits, it definitely adds credibility to people like Bob Lazar, and certainly doesn't seem that far-fetched that they would have been working at reverse engineering these things. And for anyone thinking that we're close to disclosure in 2023, it's been like 76 years of secrecy, so I'd have to say I'm not too hopeful. I don't think we'll ever get the full picture. Most likely more diversions and distractions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Airline crew reports seeing 9 flying discs for 12 minutes. That's the way it went on for days and days. Please don't remind me that this is a military problem. And this here is really interesting. What confuses me is that when we became too curious and determined to find out what they really are, those things disappeared and we found substitutes. So if I'm reading this correctly, what it's saying here is that as soon as they started looking into these discs, they disappeared in a bunch of substitutes. And by this, I'm assuming he means weather balloons, kites, and a variety of hoaxes. Basically anything but genuine flying saucers began to emerge to throw them off. We find this theme throughout the last 7 decades of UFO research, in that there's always a barrier that presents itself under various guises to make sure that we don't get too close to the truth. Bureau Bulletin number 42, Series 1947. It reads, "You should investigate each instance which is brought to your attention of a sighting of a flying disc in order to ascertain whether or not it is a bona fide sighting, an imaginary one, or a prank. The Bureau should be notified immediately by teletype of all reported sightings and the results of your inquiries." So during this time, obviously there were many hoaxes out there and a lot of hysteria concerning, this phenomenon. And nevertheless, you can see from this memo here that they were still cataloging and investigating every sighting and report and took them very seriously, which tells us that there was something genuine that couldn't be explained. The Army Air Forces have assured the Bureau complete cooperating in these matters, and in any instances where they fail to make information available to you or make the recovered discs available for your examination, it should promptly be brought to the attention of the Bureau. Any information you develop in connection with these discs should be promptly brought to the attention of the Army through your usual liaison channels. This here is a memo dated July 18th of 1947 to the Director. Metal fragments observed at West Ridge, New Hampshire, July 7, 47. Security matter X. Redacted. Security officer MIT, Cambridge, Massachusetts, advised that today he was in contact with. Now I just want to stop here and say matter X assumingly means disc material or debris of some sort. Here we see glass or grass, I can't make out which one it is, on both sides of road in a circle approximately 200 feet in diameter. Several little blazes had started and the fire department was called. Fires were apparently caused by metallic fragmentation, which were turned over to redacted name of MIT by, again, redacted name of the telephone company. Redacted has advised redacted that their general, again redacted name, appearance are similar to the lining of V-2 bombs, which he had observed at New Mexico. That line is interesting in a lot of ways. The V-2 bomber was a Nazi long-range weapon and a record breaker at one time. It was the first long-range guided ballistic missile that was eventually reproduced in America after the war, Operation Paperclip and all the rest of it. The Soviets were also able to reproduce it as they had gained access to the manufacturing facilities. So it's kind of interesting that this debris that they're talking about seems to have been the same material from the V-2 bombers. 0.6 of an inch and machine tooled and some fragments indicated that they were burned, and something redacted appeared to have been subjected to terrific heat. These scientists are treating this matter as classified information. Mr. Redacted at West Ridge, New Hampshire is also endeavoring to collect additional fragments and has stated that the fire chief at West Ridge has also several fragments in his possession. Here we have a memorandum dated July 3rd of 1947 to the director from the special agent in charge at I believe it's pronounced Butte or Butte. Someone will have to correct me on that one. Subject: flying discs. Mr. Redacted of the Idaho Daily Statesman, Boise, Idaho, telephonically contacted the Butte office and asked if the FBI was checking on the flying discs reported to have been seen by many citizens. He advised that so many had reported having seen them that it undoubtedly was not a figment of the imagination. So many people saw these things in the skies that it just simply they couldn't just brush it off and obviously brush it under the rug here. This was not just people's imagination. There were saucer sightings everywhere, especially at this time in July of 1947. So this concludes part 1 of the FBI UFO series. I'll be returning with part 2 soon and a second batch of documents that we'll go through. There are 3 photographs that were part of this collection, and I will be displaying them on the screen right now. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and if you like these videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. And also don't forget to leave a comment or question below, and we'll see you in the next video.